Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered why so many people work hard, yet only a few truly succeed? The answer is simple but profound: focus. Success is not just about doing more, it's about doing what matters with undivided attention. Distraction is everywhere today, but if we learn the art of focus, success will not chase us, we will attract it. Clarity of vision is the very foundation of focus, and without it, even the most determined effort can become misdirected. Imagine driving a car at full speed, but not knowing the destination. You may be moving fast, but you're not truly progressing. In the same way, many people in life are busy, working long hours, juggling multiple tasks, chasing opportunities, but when asked what their ultimate goal is, they hesitate, they stumble, or they realize they have never thought deeply about it. That lack of clarity creates confusion, and confusion creates distraction. A clear vision, on the other hand, acts like a compass. It doesn't matter if the road is bumpy, if traffic slows you down, or if the weather is rough. As long as you know the direction, you will keep moving forward. Gaur Gopal often reminds us that life is too precious to be lived aimlessly. If we don't decide where we want to go, the world will push us in random directions, and we may end up achieving things that don't even satisfy our hearts. Clarity means asking yourself questions. What do I truly value? What kind of person do I want to become? What impact do I want to leave in the lives of others? These questions may seem simple, but answering them honestly is not always easy. It requires reflection, courage, and a willingness to see beyond the immediate temptations of money, recognition, or social approval. Once that clarity is gained, focus becomes natural. Your mind learns to filter out the noise. You begin to see which opportunities align with your vision and which are distractions disguised as progress. Even when failures come, and they will, you won't be shaken because your vision gives you perspective. Success without clarity often leaves people empty, but success with clarity brings fulfillment. Just as an archer cannot hit the target with closed eyes, you and I cannot achieve success without first opening our inner eyes to the vision of what we want our lives to stand for. Eliminating distractions is one of the greatest challenges in today's world, because distractions do not come to us with a warning sign. They come disguised as comfort, entertainment, or even opportunities. The truth is, our environment is designed to steal our attention. Every notification on our phone, every unnecessary conversation, every unplanned commitment, they all pull us away from what really matters. Imagine trying to fill a bucket with water while there are tiny holes at the bottom. No matter how much effort you put into pouring water, it will always leak out. Distractions are those holes, silently draining our focus and energy. If we don't recognize them and consciously seal them, we will always feel busy but never truly productive. Gaur Gopal often says that the mind can either be our best friend or our worst enemy, depending on what we allow it to focus on. When we give our time and energy to distractions, we unknowingly train our mind to be restless. But when we choose to eliminate them, we begin to experience clarity, peace, and power. Eliminating distractions doesn't mean we have to live like monks in silence. It means we consciously decide what deserves our attention and what doesn't. It means putting boundaries on social media, limiting meaningless scrolling, saying no to things that add no value to our journey, and creating an environment where concentration becomes easier. Think of a student preparing for an important exam. If he studies for 2 hours in complete focus, he will learn more than someone who spends 6 hours half studying and half distracted. The same applies to life. Our results are not only a product of the hours we spend, but also of the quality of focus in those hours. Eliminating distractions is not just about discipline, it's about valuing our own time, our own dreams, and our own purpose. Because every moment we waste in distraction is a moment stolen from our destiny. Once we begin to recognize distractions for what they truly are, robbers of our potential, we gain the courage to shut the door on them. And when we do that, we begin to notice how much lighter, sharper, and more effective our minds become in moving us towards success. Disciplining the mind is perhaps one of the most important yet difficult tasks a human being can undertake. The mind, by its very nature, is restless, wandering from one thought to another, from one memory to one imagination, constantly jumping like a monkey from branch to branch. If left unchecked, it will always drift toward distractions, temptations, and negative emotions. But if trained and disciplined, it can become the strongest ally on the path to success. Just as a wild horse must be tamed before it can carry a rider safely to the destination, the mind must be trained before it can take us to our goals. No matter how clear your vision is, if the mind refuses to stay focused, you will find yourself pulled away again and again. Gaur Gopal often explains that the mind is like a child. If you give it everything it cries for, it becomes spoiled. But if you lovingly yet firmly guide it, it learns to obey and cooperate. Training the mind begins with awareness. Notice how often your thoughts wander when you sit down to work or study. Within minutes, your attention moves toward your phone, your hunger, or your imagination. This is normal, but it is not unchangeable. Every time you bring your focus back to the task at hand, you are strengthening your mental discipline. It is like exercising a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Discipline also means resisting the temptation to give in to short-term pleasures at the cost of long-term success. The mind will say, just relax, watch something, delay your work. It will create excuses that sound convincing, but you must recognize them as tricks of the undisciplined mind. Success belongs not to the one who never gets distracted, but to the one who has mastered the art of bringing the mind back again and again to what truly matters. Meditation, journaling, and self-reflection are powerful practices that help in disciplining the mind. When you meditate, you learn to observe your thoughts without being controlled by them, and slowly the mind learns to settle down. When you reflect at the end of the day, you become aware of where your focus went and whether it served your purpose. This awareness acts as a mirror, showing you where your discipline is weak and where it is strong. Discipline of the mind is not about suppressing thoughts, but about choosing which ones to give attention to. Just as a gardener does not water weeds, you must not water thoughts of fear, doubt, or distraction. Instead, you must water thoughts of determination, patience, and purpose. When the mind becomes disciplined, you gain mastery over yourself. You no longer become a victim of moods, temptations, or distractions. You become someone who can direct their energy with precision, like a laser beam, that can cut through the hardest obstacles. And when your mind is disciplined, even challenges become manageable because you know how to steer your thoughts in the direction of solutions rather than problems. True freedom is not doing whatever the mind wants. True freedom is having control over the mind so you can choose what will lead you toward growth, fulfillment, and success. Setting priorities is the art of distinguishing between what is important and what is merely urgent, between what contributes to your long-term growth and what only fills your day with business. Life constantly presents us with choices, and not all choices carry the same weight. Some actions move us closer to our purpose, while others simply keep us occupied without real progress. Many people confuse being busy with being productive. They fill their schedules with tasks, meetings, errands, and activities. But at the end of the day, they realize they have not moved even an inch closer to their bigger dreams. That is because they never learned to set priorities. When everything is treated as equally important, nothing gets the focus it deserves. Gaur Gopal often points out that life is too short to invest energy in things that don't matter in the long run, and wisdom lies in knowing what to say yes to and what to say no to. Imagine you are trying to fill a jar with rocks, pebbles, and sand. If you start with the sand, you won't have room for the rocks. But if you put the rocks first, the most important things, then the pebbles can fit around them, and finally the sand can fill the tiny spaces. Life works the same way. The rocks are your true priorities, your health, your relationships, your personal growth, your life goals. The pebbles are things that matter but are secondary, and the sand is everything else, the distractions, the unimportant tasks, the meaningless activities. If you don't identify and protect your rocks, your jar of life will get filled with sand, leaving no space for what really matters. Priorities must be chosen with clarity and courage. It requires asking yourself, if today were my last day, what would I regret not having given my time to? The answer to that question often reveals your true priorities. They are not always the things that demand your attention loudly. Often they are quiet but deeply significant. Spending time with loved ones, investing in your health, working on your dream project, practicing spirituality. These things may not scream for your attention, but they are the foundation of a fulfilling life. On the other hand, emails, phone calls, endless scrolling, or gossip may feel urgent, but in the bigger picture, they drain your energy without adding value. Setting priorities also means having the courage to say no. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you are saying no to something important. People often feel guilty for refusing requests or invitations, but real strength lies in protecting your time and energy for what aligns with your vision. A focused person understands that not everything deserves attention and not everyone's demand must be fulfilled. It is not about being rude, it is about being wise. When priorities are clear, decision-making becomes simple. You no longer waste time wondering what to do next or feeling overwhelmed by endless choices. Your day becomes purposeful. Your energy flows in the right direction and your progress accelerates. Without priorities, you may climb the ladder of success only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. But with priorities, every step you take is aligned with your ultimate vision. True success is not about doing everything. It is about doing the right things in the right order. And when you master the art of setting priorities, you begin to live not just a busy life, but a meaningful and impactful one. Consistency over intensity is one of the most underrated, yet most powerful principles of success. Many people begin their journeys with bursts of excitement and energy, full of motivation and passion, but after a few days or weeks, that fire fades and they fall back into old habits. It is not the one-time intense effort that creates extraordinary results. It is the steady, repeated, consistent actions that shape destiny. Think of a drop of water falling on a stone. One drop cannot make a difference, but the repeated drops over time carve into the hardest rock. In the same way, your daily habits, even if small, have the power to carve out your future. Gaur Gopal often says that enthusiasm can start the journey, but only consistency can finish it. Consider the difference between someone who works out for 5 hours one day and then does nothing for the rest of the month, versus someone who spends just 30 minutes exercising every day. The second person will see transformation because consistency compounds. It is the same in every area of life. Studying, building a career, growing spiritually, nurturing relationships. Success doesn't come to the one who does a lot occasionally, but to the one who does a little faithfully every single day. Intensity burns quickly like a matchstick, but consistency burns steadily like a lamp that lights up a room for hours. The beauty of consistency is that it builds momentum. At first, your efforts may feel small, almost invisible. You may question whether they are making any difference. But over time, they accumulate, just like small savings turn into wealth or small steps complete a long journey. Each day of consistency strengthens your discipline, deepens your focus, and moves you closer to your vision. Intensity may give you results in the short term, but consistency guarantees growth in the long term. Another important aspect is that consistency trains the mind to show up regardless of mood or motivation. When you are consistent, you no longer depend on how you feel in the moment. You act because it is part of who you are. That is the real transformation. When your goals stop being tasks and start becoming habits. For example, if someone decides to read 10 pages of a good book every night, it may not seem like much, but over a year, that becomes thousands of pages, dozens of books, and a wealth of wisdom that changes their thinking. Consistency makes small things grow into great things. Consistency also builds trust with yourself and with others. When you keep showing up, you begin to believe in your own ability to stay committed, and that self-trust fuels confidence. Others too begin to see you as reliable and dependable, and that reputation opens doors to greater opportunities. Success in relationships, in careers, and even in spiritual practice is not about doing something great once in a while. It is about showing steady effort every single day. If intensity is like a sprint, consistency is like a marathon. Life is not a short race. It is a long journey where endurance matters more than speed. When you choose consistency over intensity, you stop chasing quick results and instead build lasting success. True greatness is not created in one big moment, but in countless small moments of commitment that nobody sees. And when all those small, consistent efforts finally bear fruit, people will call it luck, but you will know it was persistence. Mindfulness practice is the ability to be fully present in the moment without being pulled away by regrets of the past or anxieties about the future. The mind has a strange habit. It constantly wanders. While we are eating, we are thinking about work. While working, we are worrying about the future. While spending time with loved ones, we are distracted by our phones. This restless movement of the mind robs us of focus, steals our peace, and prevents us from giving our best to the task at hand. Mindfulness is the discipline of bringing the wandering mind back to the now again and again until presence becomes natural. Gaur Gopal Das often reminds us that life is happening in the present moment, but because our minds are somewhere else, we miss the beauty and the opportunities right in front of us. When we practice mindfulness, even ordinary activities become powerful. Drinking a glass of water, when done mindfully, is not just about quenching thirst. It becomes a moment of gratitude, of awareness, of refreshment for both body and soul. Walking mindfully is not merely moving from one place to another. It becomes a meditation, a connection to nature, a reminder of life's simplicity. In the same way, working mindfully transforms our productivity. Instead of half working and half distracted, we become fully engaged, and our efficiency multiplies. A student who studies with mindfulness learns more in one focused hour than another who spends 3 hours distracted. Mindfulness is not about doing more, but about being fully alive in what we are doing. Practicing mindfulness also strengthens emotional control. When anger arises, mindfulness allows us to pause and notice it instead of reacting blindly. When fear arises, mindfulness helps us see it as a thought, not as reality. This ability to observe without being consumed gives us power over our emotions. It is like sitting by a river and watching leaves float by, instead of jumping into the river and being carried away by the current. Thoughts and emotions will always come, but mindfulness teaches us to watch them pass, choosing which ones deserve attention and which ones don't. In a world filled with constant noise and distractions, mindfulness becomes a refuge. Social media, notifications, and endless information compete for our attention, fragmenting our focus into 1,000 pieces. But when we practice mindfulness, we reclaim our attention, we learn to breathe deeply, to slow down, to focus on one thing at a time. The more we practice, the sharper our focus becomes, and the more peace we feel within. Success without peace is incomplete, and mindfulness ensures that as we climb the ladder of achievement, we also nurture inner calmness. Mindfulness is not a practice limited to meditation alone. It is a way of living. It is present when you listen to someone with your full attention, giving them the gift of your presence. It is present when you work without the urge to constantly check your phone. It is present when you eat without rushing, savoring every bite with gratitude. The power of mindfulness lies in its simplicity. It does not demand hours, it demands awareness. It does not ask you to change your life, it asks you to be awake to the life you are already living. When mindfulness becomes a habit, it transforms not only your focus, but also your relationships, your health, and your inner well-being. You begin to notice the beauty of small things, you begin to feel more alive, and you begin to direct your energy with intention instead of being pulled in every direction. True success is not just about achieving goals, it is about experiencing the journey, with awareness and fulfillment. Mindfulness ensures that you don't just reach the destination, but also enjoy every step along the way. Energy management is the hidden pillar of focus and success, yet it is often the most ignored. Many people think success is only about time management, about scheduling and organizing their hours. But even if you have plenty of time, without energy, you cannot use that time effectively. Imagine giving someone an entire day free of responsibilities, but leaving them completely exhausted. That day will be wasted because they will lack the vitality to use it meaningfully. This is why managing energy, physical, mental, emotional, and even spiritual, is essential. Gaur Gopal Das often explains that we are not machines that can work endlessly without pause. We are living beings who must recharge in order to perform at our best. Physical energy is the most basic level, and it comes from how we care for our bodies. Eating nutritious food, exercising regularly, and getting enough sleep are not luxuries, they are necessities for focus and productivity. A tired body cannot carry a sharp mind. Think of an athlete who trains hard but never rests or eats well. Eventually, their body breaks down and their performance suffers. In the same way, if we push ourselves without proper care, our focus weakens and our success slows down. By maintaining our physical health, we fuel ourselves with the stamina to pursue our goals consistently. Mental energy is equally important. The mind consumes tremendous energy when it is scattered, filled with worry, or overloaded with information. Just as a phone battery drains quickly when too many apps are running in the background, our mental battery drains when we allow unnecessary thoughts and distractions to occupy space. Managing mental energy means giving the brain time to rest, practicing mindfulness, and simplifying our focus. It means taking breaks when needed, avoiding multitasking, and recharging the mind through silence, reflection, or engaging in meaningful hobbies. A rested mind is sharper, more creative, and more resilient in solving problems. Emotional energy is another dimension often overlooked. Negative emotions like anger, envy, fear, and resentment drain us far more than physical work ever could. Have you noticed how exhausting it feels after an argument? Or how heavy your mind feels after holding on to bitterness? That is emotional energy being consumed. Managing it means practicing forgiveness, cultivating gratitude, and surrounding ourselves with people who uplift us instead of draining us. When our hearts are light and positive, our energy flows naturally toward growth and focus. Beyond these, spiritual energy gives us the deepest fuel of all. When life is aligned with a higher purpose, when actions are connected to values, and when we live with meaning, we feel an inner strength that no obstacle can destroy. Spiritual energy is what makes people endure hardship, yet remain unshaken, what allows them to continue even when the path is tough. Practices like prayer, meditation, reflection, and service keep this energy alive, reminding us that our work is not just for survival, but for significance. Energy management is also about balance. Just as a bow cannot remain stretched forever, or it will break, we too must alternate between effort and recovery. Working hard is important, but resting wisely is equally important. Rest is not laziness, rest is a strategy. It allows us to return with renewed strength and sharper focus. Those who ignore rest in the name of hustle eventually face burnout, while those who honor balance sustain their journey for the long run. When we learn to manage our energy, success becomes smoother because we are not constantly battling exhaustion or distraction. We become more efficient, more joyful, and more focused. Success is not just about how much you do, but about how much energy you bring into what you do. Two people can spend the same number of hours on a task, but the one with greater energy and presence will achieve far better results. Energy is the force that powers focus, and focus is the force that powers success. Therefore, learning to protect, recharge, and direct our energy is not optional. It is essential for anyone who wants to achieve greatness with peace of mind and joy in the heart. Positive environment is one of the greatest influences on our ability to stay focused and succeed. Yet many people underestimate its power. No matter how strong our willpower is, if we are constantly surrounded by negativity, distraction, and discouragement, our inner strength begins to weaken. Just as a seed cannot grow into a healthy tree in barren soil, a person cannot grow into their best self in a toxic environment. Gaur Gopal often reminds us that environment shapes behavior more than we realize. We may think we are in control of our choices, but the truth is, the people we spend time with, the spaces we live in, and the culture we are exposed to all silently direct the course of our lives. Think about how a student's performance changes depending on the people they study with. If they are surrounded by hardworking, disciplined peers, their own discipline grows naturally. If they spend time with careless, distracted friends, their motivation decreases without them even realizing it. Human beings absorb energy from their surroundings like sponges. That is why choosing the right company is so important. If you want to stay focused and achieve success, you must spend time with people who inspire you, challenge you, and bring out the best in you, rather than those who drain your energy or distract you from your goals. A positive environment is not only about people, but also about places. Imagine trying to meditate in a noisy marketplace. It would be nearly impossible. But sit in a quiet garden, and suddenly focus becomes natural. The same principle applies to our daily lives. The state of your home, your workspace, even the digital environment you create with your phone and computer, all influence your concentration. A cluttered desk can create a cluttered mind, while an organized space can bring clarity. The environment we build around us either supports our focus or sabotages it. Creating a positive environment also means protecting your mind from constant negativity. The news you consume, the social media accounts you follow, the conversations you engage in, all of these shape your mindset. If you are constantly feeding your mind with fear, gossip, or comparison, you will lose focus and confidence. But if you feed it with wisdom, inspiration, and knowledge, you will feel empowered and motivated. Your mind is like a garden. What you plant in it will grow. Surround yourself with uplifting content, meaningful conversations, and people who remind you of your higher purpose, and you will see your focus and determination naturally flourish. Sometimes, creating a positive environment requires courage to walk away. Walking away from negative influences is not selfish, it is self-care. If someone constantly belittles your dreams, distracts you with unproductive habits, or fills your life with drama, it is your responsibility to protect your focus by limiting their impact on you. It doesn't mean you hate them. It means you value your growth enough to guard your energy. Success requires not just hard work, but also wisdom to choose what and who deserves space in your life. A positive environment also includes uplifting rituals and habits, playing soothing music while working, starting the day with gratitude, or keeping motivational reminders in your room are all small but powerful ways to create an atmosphere that supports focus. When the environment around you vibrates with positivity, your mind feels lighter, calmer, and more willing to concentrate on meaningful goals. The truth is, we cannot always control the larger world, but we can control the small worlds we live in, our rooms, our circles, our routines. By shaping them positively, we shape ourselves. When the environment is right, focus does not feel like a battle, it becomes the natural state of being. Just as flowers bloom under the right sunlight and soil, human potential blooms in an environment filled with positivity, encouragement, and peace. And when focus blooms, success follows like a shadow. Patience and persistence are the twin virtues that hold our focus steady when life tests us with delays, obstacles, and disappointments. Everyone begins their journey with enthusiasm, but the true test comes when results do not appear as quickly as expected. In those moments, many people give up, thinking that perhaps their efforts are useless or that success is simply not meant for them. Yet the reality is that anything meaningful in life takes time to grow. Just as a farmer does not plant seeds today and expect a harvest tomorrow, we too must understand that the fruits of success come only after seasons of patience and persistence. Gaur Gopal Das often emphasizes that failure is not the end of the road, it is only a bend in the road, and persistence is what allows us to keep driving forward until we reach our destination. Patience is the ability to wait without losing heart. It is the strength to hold on even when progress feels invisible. Imagine a bamboo tree for years. Nothing seems to grow above the ground, but beneath the soil, its roots are spreading deep and wide. Then suddenly, in a short span of time, it shoots up rapidly into the sky. Many of us abandon our dreams in those hidden roots, building years, mistaking silence for failure. But those who practice patience understand that invisible growth is still growth, and that time is a necessary ingredient for greatness. Without patience, focus shatters at the first sign of delay. With patience, focus stays intact and hope continues to burn. Persistence is the active side of patience. It is the refusal to quit despite difficulties. Life will always test our commitment to our vision. Through rejections, through failures, through criticism, and through self-doubt. Those who succeed are not necessarily the most talented or the luckiest. They are the ones who simply refuse to stop trying. Think of Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before finally inventing the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he famously said he had not failed, but rather discovered thousands of ways that did not work. That is persistence. Seeing every setback not as defeat, but as a stepping stone to success. Patience and persistence together create resilience, and resilience is the armor that protects focus. A person who lacks these qualities will constantly start and stop, beginning new projects without ever completing them, shifting goals when challenges arise, and ultimately achieving very little. But a person who cultivates patience and persistence becomes unstoppable. They understand that even the longest journey is completed step by step. and that each setback is simply an invitation to grow stronger. These virtues also transform our mindset. When we are patient, we stop comparing ourselves to others who seem to be moving faster. We understand that every person's journey unfolds in its own time, and that rushing often leads to mistakes. When we are persistent, we stop fearing failure because we know that each attempt, whether successful or not, is moving us closer to the result. This mindset keeps the heart calm, the mind focused, and the spirit determined. Patience and persistence also add depth to our success. Something achieved instantly may not carry the same weight or value as something we worked for with endurance. The struggle, the waiting, the perseverance, all of it makes the achievement richer and more meaningful. Success is not just about the destination, it is about the kind of person we become along the way. Patience makes us humble, persistence makes us strong, and together they make us wise. In the end, life is less about quick victories and more about steady endurance. Focus without patience is fragile, and focus without persistence is incomplete. But when patience and persistence join hands with focus, they create an unstoppable force. No delay can discourage it, no obstacle can defeat it, and no failure can define it. Such a person eventually reaches success, not because the path was easy, but because they chose never to abandon the path.